Welcome back. We are going to cut in here because we've got a great guest with us, Dana White, a former Boston guy. Yep. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Still a Boston guy. Come on.
I
got my Patriots on.
Here.
I'm going to the Celtics game tomorrow night.
Awesome.
I have been pumped about coming here for a month. This has been like the light at the end of the tunnel for me. I couldn't wait to get here. All I'm doing is going to events and eating food for the next 4 days.
Well, you guys got a great event coming up.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Yeah. First, before we get into that, what restaurants do you hit when you come back?
So there's a place in Southie called the Bayside. There used to be a place called the Quiet Man, and they had the best steak tips on earth. And now this place, the Bayside, I don't know if they got their recipe or what the deal is. I'm addicted. Every time I come into town, I got to go.
Bayside.
And then, Faneuil Hall, the Boston chowder place where they put the chowder in the bread bowl. Right. I'm going to wreck that place. Wreck it.
Yeah. So UFC 220. Saturday night in Boston. It was a fifth show here?
Yeah.
So, Hillary, when we were in the old place, this was probably 2000. Do you remember this when you came by? 2007, maybe? Hank Hernowitz, who's a sports editor, and myself were at the old Herald.
Yeah.
And Dana comes in with Jen Wank, who was his PR person at the time, and Chuck Liddell. And Chuck Liddell comes into the office, and he's got the mohawk and the tattoos, and Hank and I were just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Right? So they come in, they sit down, and we probably were there for like 2 hours, and Dana's just like, look, we need people covering the UFC. And you just gave us like the best pitch and like the most impassioned argument about why we should cover the UFC. We had no one to do it. And I did it, like I just like ghost wrote it, for probably about 2 years till we finally found some other people to start doing it. But I don't know if you remember coming in that time.
Yeah, of course. You know what's funny is because we were actually on this huge tour then, and basically what I was doing, I was going to all the newspapers, and you have to remember back then, it was so hard to break in. We're a new sport, and people didn't really understand it, and boxing was so big, and you had all the ball and sticks. That's all they wanted to cover. We don't have room in the paper, and especially in a town like Boston. So really, the way that I broke in, it was really good to us back then, WBCN. And WAAF. Uh-huh. AAF and BCN were really good to us. So there was a show. Birdsey was one of the guys over at BCN. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he had a morning show. And I started with radio. Radio's where it started, and Boston was really good to me. And I always loved the Boston Herald. Even when I lived here, I loved the Boston Herald. And you guys were actually very good to me early on. And anytime I come to Boston, when guys get bigger, they want to phone in, and I'll phone in at, I literally, every time I come here, no matter how big the UFC gets or what goes on, I come in and sit down and do all these tours in Boston. I love Boston.
At that point, you guys obviously had a vision. And now, as we were talking about, Hillary, with Keith, Dana was talking about, the next, where they're at now and the year ahead and the sale that just went through and the TV deal that's going to eventually happen. And I mean, that's like 10 years maybe. It's blown up that much.
Yeah. The last 10 years has been massive. I mean, if you look at it, me and my partners have owned the UFC for 17 years, and the sport was dead. Basically, when we bought the UFC, they were going out of business. So we bought it for $2 million, and we sold last year for $4.025 billion.
Incredible.
Does it ever get, can you still wrap your head around of just how big it has become?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the way that I'm built is I never look around and take it all in and smell the roses. I keep looking at how much bigger it can be. So I'm always pushing to try to, what's next? Where haven't we been ever? Where haven't we been lately? And, that's what I'm always looking at. Because I was literally just talking to him about this, but if you look at any other sport, football, right? Football is massive in this country, and everybody watches the Super Bowl. But in other countries, people could care less about football. People don't care about basketball. Soccer's big around the world, but it's not really that big here in the United States. Cricket is never going to work here, but it's big in other places. Fighting is the one thing that works everywhere, all over the world. And I always felt that way, and I was right. And we're going to continue to take this thing to parts of the world that we've never been. And God forbid, Imagine if we end up with a Chinese world champion.
Well, last year you were in Shanghai, right?
Yeah.
And I read that you're looking to go to Australia, and Russia is on the table as well.
Yeah, a lot of sports businesses and companies, whatever it might be, go into China and try to do things. We legit went into China and sold out all of our tickets there and actually had an incredible gate and an amazing event. This thing really does work everywhere.
Yeah. And the fighters are from everywhere. So
right.
So segue into...
That's what I'm saying. You imagine if I get a champion, from China.
Right.
Yeah, local fans.
We got a guy who's potentially, he's ranked, number 1 or 2 in the world right now from Russia. If he becomes a world champion, and nothing is as powerful as the Irish thing. Everybody thinks they're Irish, so, and it's fun to be Irish when you think you're Irish. So the Irish thing is huge for us too with Conor McGregor.
Right.
And I say this to Ari, my new partner now in the UFC, Ari Emanuel. If we ever end up with a Jewish world champion, oh my God, the sponsorship alone that this guy will have will be phenomenal. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, the Jewish thing, people don't realize how big the Jewish thing is until we end up. You guys remember Dana Rosenblatt, the Jewish fighter from Boston?
Oh, absolutely.
He's a perfect example. Yeah. If we end up with a Jewish world champion, it will be massive.
Well, so Saturday night you could have a world champion from Cameroon, which is one of Trump's favorite countries.
Absolutely, yeah. Trump's a big fan of Africa and Cameroon, but Trump is a big UFC fan.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was at the Republican convention.
Oh, were you really? Yeah.
So you got to speak there. What have you thought so far?
Yeah, no Hillary. My thing was Trump the best candidate, yes, when it was between him and Hillary. I'm very anti-Hillary, and obviously so was the rest of the country. And, nobody loves everything that a president does. And obviously Trump is a very different president than any president we've ever had. The economy's up. If you look at jobs, the economy, those are the things that are important.
Right.
And I think that Trump's going to start a nuclear war and all that? I do not.
Yeah. A lot of people, obviously this whole language thing has gotten so many people bristling. I don't know. What do you think?
The one scary thing about Trump becoming president, and I swear to God, I'm not just saying this now because I knew this was going to happen. Now you have every celebrity who thinks they can run for president running for president. That's not good. That's one of the things that's really bad out of this, Trump winning the presidency. Not me. I promise you. It will I will never run for president. I can promise you that.
You've got experience on TV.
Or governor or anything like that. I will never get into politics.
Talk about the fight Saturday.
And I'm not a real political guy. The thing is, just to lay out the thing with Trump is, my first event ever was at the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, and Trump was very good to me. When no other arenas wanted us, Trump was very good to me. And over the last 17 years that I've been doing this, everything good that has ever happened to me in my career, the first one to pick up the phone and call me has been Trump. Now, when Trump ran, I supported Trump. Since Trump has been the president of the United States, this guy has called me 15, 20 times. I'm telling you, he says some crazy things and he does some crazy things. He's one of the most stand-up human beings that I've ever dealt with in this business.
What's he calling you in regards to?
He has called me to talk about me supporting him and getting behind the going after opioids and trying to get the UFC brand behind this, to stop opioids. He called me to see if I wanted to start bringing UFC champions to the White House, how they do when somebody wins a Super Bowl and stuff like that. Called me after to thank me for my support. Called me to see if I would come out to the White House for dinner.
Have you been?
Stand-up guy, have not gone yet, no. I'm going to go before the end of his term. I'm going to go to the White House and have dinner with him, but has been the most stand-up guy in this business ever. Those are my personal experiences with President Trump.
It's very similar to what you hear about Tom Brady. Brady, he was there, and Bob Kraft. He was there for Kraft at a tough time in his life, and he continues to call him and has created that sort of allegiance. You feel like an allegiance to him?
100%. Absolutely. Trump has been a solid, good. Think about this. When we put the first UFC event at the Trump Taj Mahal, the Trump brand was way up here. The UFC brand was way down here. Trump didn't need the UFC. Trump didn't need us. Trump treated us like we're the NBA or the NFL when nobody else would. Literally, when we bought this company, arenas didn't want us to bring the event to there because it had such a bad stigma attached to it then. So you have to understand I just want to give you some insight into my dealings with Trump.
So you on board if he asks for a second, would you support him in
I'm
a
on
second
board.
re-election?
I'm a Trump guy. I'm not, just so everybody understands, I'm not a Republican. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I'm always for whoever the best person is. So, but I obviously have a very strong relationship with President Trump.
The athletes that work in your organization, like Ngannou, who's fighting Saturday night. I mean, when things like Trump says about countries like that right. affects him personally. Do you hear from your athletes about things that Trump has
Absolutely. No, nobody's ever said that to me. Nobody has ever. I don't blame anybody. I don't get into beefs with people because of their political beliefs. If you're a Democrat, if you're, the craziest liberal ever, whatever your deal is, that's your personal. It's one of the great things about being an American, and it's one of the things that really disgusted me about this election. All these people I was in New York when he was elected. He called me. Trump called me the night that he was elected. They called me, said, "We won, man. Get over here." I was 3 blocks away, so I went to his party after. If you don't like the way this turned out, you should have voted. You lost. There's been times that we lost. I voted for Obama the first term. I did not vote for Obama the second term. When Obama won the second term, I didn't freak out and start marching up and down the streets and stopping traffic and doing all this stuff. You ride out your 4 years and you vote again when the elections come up. The way that people have acted and continue to act during this election is disgusting, and it really that part of it really bothers me. But at the end of the day, you can have your own political beliefs. I don't fault anybody for who they vote for or criticize anybody for who they voted for.
Well, and so, certainly when people hear something like that said about their own country.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you this, too. I saw the other day on CNN, I've watched it like 3 times. There's this guy, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but the guy is 30-something. No, he's been here in this country for 30 years. I think he's 40 years old. He has 3 children, teenage children, has worked here. His parents brought him in when he was 10. Yeah. He was deported the other day. And they showed on CNN, they showed the scene of his family crying. This guy, all he knows is the United States, and he's getting shipped back to Mexico, right? It's crazy. It's sad, and but this is what Trump said he was going to do. Trump said he was going to do this, and he's doing it.
When you hear him say, bleep whole country and talking about countries like that, is that sort of where you're like, wish he had better language, or what?
Have you ever voted for a president that you didn't agree with everything he said and everything he did?
Right.
That's the case with me. I do not agree with a lot of things that President Trump says and a lot of things he does, but that's absolutely normal when you vote for a president. Yeah, no, I don't agree with everything he says, and I don't agree with the things that he says about other countries, absolutely.
Yeah. Real quick, the show Saturday night. Tell us about the card.
So Francis Ngannou, who is this something that we've never seen before in the heavyweight division. This guy is a scary human being, viciously knocks people out. And Stipe Miocic, who is the champion, and if he wins this fight, can break the record for most consecutive title defense, who also viciously knocks people out. It's one of the most anticipated heavyweight fights in UFC history. And I'm glad that it's here in Boston. I'm excited that we're here, and this is a big event for us.
Yeah.
Kevin Weeks is long gone, so I don't have to worry about him anymore.
I don't know if he's long gone, but
he's got a factor,
I think he's doing different things these days than he used to.
Well, thank you so much. Great to have you here. And, your enthusiasm and the stories just about you really coming in, selling yourself, and clearly charming everybody who you could meet with. Great stuff.
Well, thank you.
All right. We will be right back. Keep it here on Boston Herald Radio.